Happens if your parents pass away without a will and a mortgage on their property. So this is how the probate process will work when your parents did not have a will and there's still a mortgage on the property. They're going to pass away, you get their death certificate. You'll take that death certificate and file a petition for probate at the probate courts in the county where your parents live. The probate courts will then take those documents and they will open up the probate process and they will give you the letters of administration, which will appoint you as the administrator of the estate. The letters of administration allow you to have the authority to manage the assets inside of that estate. And so when you have a mortgage on a property that's in the probate process, it's your responsibility as the administrator of the estate to go to the lender and say, hey, my parents passed away. I'm the administrator. Here are my letters of administration. And then it's your responsibility to take money out of the estate and make the mortgage payments on that property. It's also your responsibility to make payments on the utilities, the taxes, insurance, etc. Whatever is going to be needed to maintain that property during the probate process until that property is distributed out to the beneficiaries after the probate process has closed. Now we're going to talk about how the probate process is going to work. You've already opened up probate. You've already notified your lender. Now we need to do the probate process itself. You have to publicly notify creditors that your parents have passed away. Those creditors will say, hey, your parents owe us money for these debts. And so it's going to be your responsibility to take the liquid assets inside of the estate to pay those debts off. Liquid assets would be things like your bank or your checking account, savings accounts, investment accounts, etc. And you'll use that money to pay those debts off. Now, if you don't have enough liquid assets inside of the estate to pay those debts off, you'll have to start selling off physical assets out of the estate, which would be things like the home with a mortgage on it. And so if you don't have enough liquid assets and you need to sell that home, you're going to reach out to a real estate agent, and then list that property for sell that property, do all of that, take the proceeds from that sale, put it back into the estate bank accounts, and then you can just pay off those debts that you have to those creditors. Now, once the debts to the creditors are paid off, let's say that you are able to pay off all of those debts with the liquid assets inside of the estate, and now you're able to distribute that property out to the beneficiaries. And so now you are going to split the assets per the intestate laws of your state. As an example, in Georgia, the assets are split evenly between the kids and the surviving spouse. And so if you have one property and no surviving spouse, it's going to get split between the kids. If it's one child, they get 100%. If it's two kids, they get 50% each. If it's three kids, they get 33% each of that property. And so once you distribute that property out, it's the children's responsibility to go coordinate with the lender as to what's going to happen with the loan on that property. Now, they all own it together. When they own it, you have no involvement with that property anymore as the administrator of the estate. You have quit claim deed that property out to those kids, and now they have full ownership of that property. It's now their responsibility. So they can go to that lender and say, hey, we are the new owners of this property. Our parents passed away. It was distributed out to us as an inheritance. And then that lender will allow them to do one of two things. They can either assume that loan in their parents' name, or they can refinance that property into their own names. And so generally what's going to happen is you can take an assumption of that loan if you're using that property as your primary residence. You will have to refinance that property if you're not using it as your primary residence. As an example, if you're going to use it as a rental property or a second property or wherever that might be. And so those are your options. And so to recap here, they pass away, you file a death certificate with a petition for probate, they open up the probate process, you publicly notify creditors that your parents have passed away, you pay off the debts that you owe to those creditors, and then you are able to distribute that property out to the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries will then have to notify the lender that they are the new owners of that property and either assume the loan or refinance that loan into their name. And then the probate process is complete. They have received that inheritance of that property with the mortgage on it, and now they are the new owners, and they have figured out what they are going to do with that loan. If you want help setting any of this up, click the link in the bio, in the YouTube description, or the link down in the comments below to schedule a time to talk to some of our team.